like to invite Dan Bloch up to just say something about whatever he wants to talk.
Which one is Dan Bloch?
I don't know. I'm a statesman, but he's not an elder statesman. He's a statesman.
I've been invited to say something. I've been invited to make some welcoming remarks, but I can't imagine anyone in this atmosphere not already feeling welcome. So I'm going to take the opportunity to share with you a personal experience briefly. The reason I say briefly is because my kids say I have a knack of making a short story very long. Before I hear from my son to shut up, I'll say briefly. This is the scene. Usher had just died and been buried. We were at the cemetery, and I was sitting disconsolately on a running board in the parking lot, and my brother David approached me. "What's up with you?" And I expressed some concern about what was going to happen to the family with Zadie gone. And he brushed me off, you know, just in a very confident manner, like, you're worried about nothing. So after that, I started to pay more attention to what was going on in the family. And I noticed a lot of things of which I had been unaware before, a lot of things which I had taken for granted. And one of the most important things was that the brothers and the sisters, the 4 brothers and 3 sisters, and Uncle Willie and Aunt Libby, the Roginskis, they liked one another. They really enjoyed each other's company, to the extent that whenever there was an opportunity, they got together. You know, even the ones from Pittsburgh, Uncle Rothbart was always part of the group when he came to Youngstown, Uncle Harry from Detroit. You know, they liked one another, and they wanted the families to be together. As a consequence, whenever they got together, their children got together. And there were 24 first cousins, but they came in clusters. There were a number of the older ones, you know, the Eva and the Becky, my brother James, Saul Rothbart. So there was a cluster there, and then there were the Roslins. Including Rosalie. And then there were the 3 Davids who were...
Oh, I see.
When the elders got together, you know, the Shmuel, Hyman, Morris, and everything, the kids got together, and they formed some kind of cohesiveness. And by golly, what happened is they liked one another. They wanted to be together. They enjoyed each other's company. In fact, a couple enjoyed each other's company so much that they became, well... So that's the tradition. It was passed from one generation to the next generation. And then after the war, when there was a diaspora of sorts to California, for the most part, West Coast, the East Coast part, that tradition remained, so that those in my generation wanted the families to get together, which they did. And this is in the Hebrew tradition of generation to generation, Lador Vador in Hebrew. And as a consequence of that, we're meeting here tonight, because what was happening with my generation and the kids getting together, now those kids want to get together. And as a result, we had our reunion 2 years ago. We have the reunion tonight. So we owe a great deal of gratitude to Hildy and her cohorts for doing it 2 years ago, and to Sharon and her cohorts for doing it this time. that's the personal experience I wanted to share with you. Now, we expect before the night is over to have somebody volunteer for the next one. We've already had a proposal to be in Youngstown.
Oh, over the air.
Thank you for allowing me to share my personal experience with you, but again, they liked one another, it carried over to the next generation, they enjoyed one another's company, it goes on into the next generation, and hopefully it'll continue on into the 3, 4, 5 generations that are already on board. So, in conclusion, I want to give thanks for having been given life, for having been sustained, and for having arrived at this time in life. In the Hebrew, it is Baruch atah